Welcome to the Content Beach. Okay, um, I almost fell into what you call a pod fade. This is Raya, and this is my fourth episode if I publish it. So thank you for hanging out with me. If you decide to stay listening to my rants and just observations and digital content marketing. Okay, so that always ends perfectly. Uh, all right, another impromptu podcast or live or recording, whatever you want to call it. And it's been a very busy weeks. It's been very busy weeks, and you can just at least for me, I can't just go sit down and start talking about things. And I don't really like scripts, and I don't really like outlines. So this is what you get. So I see that my episodes at least has around like couple of downloads. So if you're listening to this, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And okay, so today I just want to talk about Kajabi. And Kajabi is very popular and most of my clients are using Kajabi. It's an all-in-one business solution for coaches, consultants, and educators to get their brand out there. And recently, Kajabi has been releasing lots of new features, and they have different products and everything that you'd actually need to get your business online, your digital business online, and your thought leadership basically all in one platform. This episode, by the way, is not sponsored. I just want to share the beauty of Kajabi. So first of all, I know I've spoken to other clients who were previously using Kajabi, and they see the platform, and some of them actually don't like it. For some reason, they don't like it. I'm not sure if it's mostly because of the user interface. They say it's clunky. They say um it's expensive. It is quite quote unquote expensive, but I use Kajabi myself. And it's not so much about the expense of Kajabi. So how can I present my thoughts here a bit better than just going all over the place? So, advantages. Let's start with the advantages. And then we'll go over the disadvantages of Kajabi and who is this platform for and who is this not for, and also why it might not work for you, and then my affiliate link. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I do have an affiliate link, but I'm not going to drop it in here. I think maybe in the show notes. Okay, so again, so we're gonna go through the advantages of Kajabi, disadvantages, who's the target audience of this platform, and if you should use it for your business, and who is this not for and why it might not work for you, as well as the weaknesses of the platform if that's not under disadvantages. Okay, I'm actually typing this down while I have you ever seen anything? Have you ever listened to any podcast like this? Like typing out your outline while you go live because, that's how we roll here. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's actually cool to say that, but it is what it is. Okay. So, advantages of Kajabi platform is number one, it's an all in one solution. Again, this podcast episode is not sponsored in any way by Kajabi. Although, if you are a Kajabi and you listen to this, I am a Kajabi expert. So please reach out. So, advantages of Kajabi. It's an all-in-one platform for anyone who's starting out, and even for those who are big enough to, or big enough to handle, especially if you are big enough to need all these systems in place. So why would I say why would I give it so much praise like that? Because number one, it has the built-in website builder. Okay, so you already have your website. And from there, you can create number of landing pages. And actually, depending on your plan, you could have unlimited landing pages. And landing pages are for different episodes. But for now, landing pages is usually the start of a quote unquote funnel. So it's a totally how would I say this? Uh it's a separate page from your website. Okay, I don't think I made that so clear. I'm gonna try not to go crickets on here. All right, so, but anyway, okay, so advantages. Sorry, I'm all over the place as always, but that is the unique voice of this podcast. So, advantages. So, you have a website, and then you can also create landing pages as well as forms. So, usually, let's compare it side by side. So, you have website, okay, that's pretty much a given. You can use Wix, you can use Squarespace. It's very popular for um, consultants. So you have Wix and you have Squarespace and the good old WordPress. But with Kajabi, you can also have landing pages, which is also available in Wix and Squarespace and other landing pages providers such as lead pages. I think if they're still existing, circa 2021, 2020, I still had a chance to use that. And so forms, it's built in Kajabi, which is basically most of these platforms, other platforms that I have mentioned, are giving out. You can actually integrate forms easily as well. But the good thing about the forms of Kajabi is it's unlimited, unlike Wix that you kind of, it's a, like, depending on your plan, you get number of forms that you can use around your website, which is very hassle. Like, it's just a form. Okay, so forms. You have several forms or many forms or unlimited forms that you can use, and which with each form can be customized with different um, you know, fields that you want to include. Could be name, could be location. So there are some weaknesses to these forms. I'll can discuss that later. But overall, these forms are very useful depending on the placement of this form where on your website. So for example, you have one on your landing pages. Immediately anything or all the submissions going into that form, you can tag them accordingly. And again, tags, not again, because I haven't mentioned this to you yet, but I always mention this to your client. Tags to my clients, tags are very important because it will allow you to filter them later when you run email marketing. So yeah, so there's that. So advantages, website, landing pages, forms, and of course the email marketing part, which is already integrated inside Kajabi, which is so great. So you don't have to use other email marketing systems such as ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign or MailChimp. So they all function the same, and some of them even Klaviyo. So I would say that for purposes of email marketing, the email marketing side of Kajabi is a bit on its downside only if you are really heavily relying on email marketing. For most clients and most, most projects that I've worked with worked on, these are email marketing of Kajabi is sufficient enough. But if you are running something like an e-commerce, I wouldn't actually recommend that. So they all have different weaknesses. So again, this episode is primarily geared toward consultants, educators, or creators who are monetizing their content or their knowledge. So this is a very tailored to my experience or to the people that I have helped with. Okay, and the next, whew, so intense. Oh, so we're always so getting so I don't know. Okay, so little chimes there, and there we go. So we have the advantages: website, landing pages, forms, email marketing, and I would say the products, but I want to hold that off before I bring that up. What are the other advantages of Kajabi? Okay, fine. I can see. Let's go to the products of Kajabi. So this is fun. So especially if you're uh in creation mode, of course, and monetizing that knowledge that you have. So within Kajabi, you have several tons of products that are widely available for you to use. And this is actually where the pricing of Kajabi kicks in because for basic, you have the growth, and then you have I think it's the pro plan, and it varies. So, for example, you have the basic plan. I'm not sure if they currently have the Kickstarter plan, but for the pro plan, for the basic plan, okay, so today is June 2025. If you listen to this, 2029, of course, this information is going to be obsolete. Okay, so you have growth plan, sorry, again, basic plan, which is $149. And with the basic plan, you will be getting three, three products. And with the growth plan, this is where the magic happens because you can experiment with a lot of products. So you have 199 for 15 products, which is great. And then the pro plan is I think this is 299 something. I think. But okay. But with pro, I think you can have around 100 products. So that's a different ball game. Okay, so we have the basic, we have the growth, and we have the pro. That's the tier of Kajabi subscription. Sometimes they have lower ones, but I'm not going to mention that at this moment. So let's focus on those three. So with these, you get several products. So basic, you get 3, growth, you get 15, and pro, you get 100. So inside these products, you can have a podcast as a product, and you can have newsletters. You can have newsletters. This is different from just the usual mailing list that, before when they say newsletter, it's just an email blast. Now there's really these newsletters that you can offer for subscription. It's really confusing for most of my clients because, it's usually before it was just an email blast, but now it's just like newsletters, which is still different from a blog post. But let's not get into that for this episode, or we're not going um to finish really good. I'm 14 minutes in, and I just realized I'm not recording on my end. So I'm hoping that podcast, this episode can be downloaded and uploaded, and I got all my audios locked in. Otherwise, it's going to be a waste of time talking like this. Anyway, okay, moving on. So we have podcasts, newsletters. You can also have downloadables. So this is fun because Downloadables, no matter how many downloadables you have for sale, it's not going to count against your product quota. So if you have 15 products, even if you have 50 downloadables for free for sale, it just counts as one. And then we have the coaching. So this is where it usually eats up all your quota. So for example, you have a coaching service or consulting service, and you have, let's say, a one-on-one package. That's already one product. And if you have a one-on-one, sorry, so if you have one-on-one package with one session, that already counts as one product. And if you have another one that's like 5 sessions each, 5 sessions and then 10 sessions, that all counts towards your coaching and overall product quota. So I usually recommend for clients not to use the coaching platform because of this limitation. And of course, you can upgrade later on, but for purposes of coaching, we can use different automations to enable them to, after they pay, they will get, so after they check out in Kajabi and they pay, they will get an automation to book through your Calendly link, and then you can just automate your Zoom. And that's a whole other process of automations. But for now, all I'm saying is I always can get seem to can get straight to the point. So what my point is, coaching, um, all packages that you have counts against your product quota. Okay. So after coaching, we have also, of course, the courses, which is what Kajabi is really known for. Before, when they were just starting out, they have this courses, online courses. And of course, each course, no matter how short, will count against your product quota. So, courses. And then we also have, okay, let me just check my Kajabi because suddenly I'm thinking, okay, yeah. So there's also a community feature within Kajabi. Now, this will greatly fall outside my community, my um what I would say that I like about Kajabi. I think I'd discuss this later for the, in the weakness part, because community, yeah, it's not so good if you compare it with other platforms like Circle, but it does the job. So yeah. so that so if you have um God. Okay. Okay. No, I okay, let's go back. Okay, I can do this. All right. So again, you can have podcasts, newsletters, downloadables, coaching, courses, and community as products. So that's one of the advantages of Kajabi. And these all can be used for free or these can all be offered for sale or for free. Okay. And now, so let's talk about the disadvantages, or let's just combine it with the weaknesses. Okay, so weakness number one is the design limitations of Kajabi. And don't get me wrong, Kajabi is very nice and it's very easy to set up in a way as compared with WordPress. But the limitations of Kajabi design wise is, if you want something different from their traditional blocky styling, is you'd have to buy separate theme, which you'd probably do also if you use WordPress. But the customization level is so much easier. For example, if you were using Elementor, okay, now do not shoot. I know some people don't, or at least from Reddit, they don't like Elementor because Elementor is quite, they say it's slow. But for purposes of really beautiful designs, I really like Elementor. And I always suggest that they use Elementor for example for personal branding website and for those websites that really need visual impact. And then you can just use Kajabi as a subdomain for your offerings. So for example, I have a client who is she's a speaker. So for purposes of presenting her personal brand, I suggested let's do WordPress and then let's use a subdomain to host all your thought leadership offerings and also her email marketing. All right. Okay. So moving on. Yeah. So the builder is there. And let me just put a little, a bit music because I can hear kids screaming in my background and I don't want to re-record this or all right. Okay, let's wait until that settles down because this is the reality of going live and you work from home. Okay. Okay, I think we're safe now. Okay, so another weakness of oops, okay. So another weakness of the platform would be the email marketing. It's just a weakness and I've mentioned this earlier. If you need something more um analytics driven or very focused on analytics and um I'd say retargeting and then integration, of course, with WordPress, I'd suggest you use Klaviyo. But for everything else, Kajabi is 100% great because it's all in one solution. You don't have to have these Zapier automations and everything. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be maintaining this platform by yourself, you really need something simple because it takes a while to get all these things sorted, especially if you're like my clients who are actually busy with their the core of their business, which is making money outside of Kajabi, or they are making impact on a greater scale as opposed to just sitting and having time to to tick all the boxes and fix all the automations of Kajabi. It's easy as it is for someone to maintain on a weekend and unless you want to go over and you know integrate so many other platforms. Okay, I hope that makes sense because I heard another kid screaming. And now we go. Okay, so who is this platform for? I would recommend, as I mentioned, Kajabi is great for consultants and educators and creators who are monetizing their knowledge. And this is not for e-commerce, of course. For e-commerce, yes, you can embed your Spotify, sorry, not Spotify, I mean Shopify page, but that's it. You really can't ship any digital not digital physical products from within Kajabi. And that is not if you have merch, then it's not for you. All right. Okay, so also okay, why Kajabi? So you're an educator, you're a consultant, you're a coach, but why would Kajabi not work for you? And I understand that there are some, it's not for everyone, even if you're a coach consultant. It's because this platform, first of all, when people sign up for a trial, especially like recently, Kajabi has this 3 month, 3 months for $99, and after that, it's going to be 199 for per month, and you're actually not using it in such a way that even if it doesn't bring you money, but energetically, you'd rather just pay you don't want to pay that money to get these things off your plate, then it's not going to work for you. Okay, let me clarify that. I'm not sure if I'm being clear. If you were only looking at it from the expense standpoint, but not actually the time that you're going to save from having an all-in-one platform, then it's not going to work for you. So I've had chats before with other consultants that they would rather integrate several other pieces of the puzzle, but it actually takes time to actually do that, because that also adds up to your, to the time that you could have spent at the, you know, at the areas that would actually bring you money at the end of the day and showing up for your marketing. So case to case basis, it's not gonna work for you if you're looking at it only from the expense standpoint, but not for the money that you're actually saving. For example, I used to have WordPress, and I wasn't checking WordPress because I paid for it like for a year. I set it up, and then little did I know that there's malware in the hosting platform that actually corrupted the site. So it's a bit more, it not just a bit more, it's tedious to actually maintain WordPress. And cost wise, if you're going to total the cost of all the plugins and everything of WordPress, um I I think it's still a big expense at the end of the year. Okay. And again, I'm not comparing this directly to Wix and Squarespace. That could be for another podcast episode. And I'm going to encourage you to listen to it because I'm rambling. Okay. So, yeah. So, bottom line, what I really like about Kajabi is the all in one integrated solutions that is geared towards you to show up as a consultant, as a coach. Because at the end of the day, it all costs money, whether you use it, whether you use it. Sorry, let me rephrase that. So at the end of the day, it's either going to cost you time or it's going to cost you money. And I choose to just, that at the end of the month, you have this subscription that you have to pay. It's 149. It's a lot. But if it allows you to actually focus on making money, then you're going to break even. And even if you're not making money right away, it's a good way to start getting your voice out there, getting your brand out there. So offering freebies, offering free podcast or private podcast. That's what I like. Okay, I forgot to mention that. So they have podcast feature, and that's public and also private. But that's for another podcast episode. Okay, I'm gonna list it down. Free. So podcasts, they have free and they have private podcasts. And next time we are going to talk about that because I'm very passionate about all these talks about platforms and technology for consultants. Okay. So um I don't know if I've mentioned that already. The community, yeah, it's very basic. The community feature is very basic. I jumped again. I think I was already closing my thoughts here, but yeah, so community is very basic, and I just saw it on my list. Now I'm lost. Okay. Um I don't know. I don't know how to close this. Again, I really just want to hop on live and record this. So thank you for listening. I'm gonna cut this off here. I think I'm how many minutes are I'm in? Oh my gosh, it's 30 minutes. All right. And I forgot what my outro music was. Is it this? Okay. All right. So thank you so much for listening. This is Raya of the Content Beach. Visit my website, www.wethrivebydesign.com. And I actually am a Kajabi expert. So if you need something like this and you need guidance, I'm I'm there. www.wethrivebydesign.com. Okay. That is it. Thank you so much for listening and have a great evening or great day.